The beautiful thing about the outdoors is no matter if you catch zero fish, you see zero deer, you shoot zero ducks, it is still a great experience. Like it's good for the mind, it's good for the soul.
Leer. Wildside.
This is a really exciting day for me because I am finally actually getting to communicate with somebody that it seems like I've been texting with and tweeting with and communicating back and forth, but we've never actually had a chance to speak. So welcome to the Wildside, Frank. We're really glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It seems like we have been going back and forth quite a bit, but it's good to finally connect. It's virtually, but I'll take it.
Well, exactly. So, and hopefully someday, we can maybe get in a boat together or get in the field together and get to know each other a little bit more that way as well. But first of all, just to set the tone here, a lineman in the NFL, 20th pick overall in the 2018 draft, which we're going to get to these subjects here at some point, but it's a remarkable thing. Pretty cool. I think you're is it the highest drafted lineman out of Arkansas? Is that correct?
Yep, correct. Yep.
Yeah, so you got there. You signed a contract out of the get-go for more moolah than most people are going to make in a lifetime, right? So this is a really good thing. And as I'm following all this evolving and watching this, and I'm watching the NFL draft that night, all these communications, I send you a little note saying congratulations. The next thing I know is you're telling me this is great, but I can't wait to get in the outdoor business.
Yeah. You know that I love football. Don't get me wrong. I love football, but my true passion, my true drive and passion is the outdoors for sure.
So tell me about that. I mean, first of all, we might start a GoFundMe to get you some therapy here to make sure that you got to take care of this NFL deal first, right? That is first and foremost, because I got a feeling that dream can make all other dreams possible, right?
Yeah, and I'm just trying to capitalize on my platform that I am blessed with the NFL to help kind of, I guess, who knows, one day launch myself into the outdoor world, whatever that may be.
And you've been doing that already. I mean, you've got a very active YouTube page, you've got a great Instagram account, and you're sharing your outdoor experiences through what you're calling Grizzly Man Outdoors. Mm-hmm. And what's really cool about that is, I mean, you're just kind of throwing yourself out there. Good, the bad, the ugly. It's kind of just, you know what? I'm Frank Ragnow, and I don't care. This is my outdoor experience.
Yeah, it's definitely not it's not the most professional. It's not the most smooth, most beautiful, but it's authentic. And I take pride in that. I love going in the outdoors, and I've developed this passion for kind of sharing it and capturing it, whether it be through photo or through video. And it's fun to show the raw emotion. And it's also a major struggle. It makes you appreciate a good camera crew, because myself trying to turn all these GoPros on and trying to do all this recording while trying to land a fish or two, it's a struggle, but we're trying to get there. We're working on it.
Well, it's all bits and pieces, and it's really interesting from the sense, I mean, have you had a lot of response to that? I mean, when you throw yourself out there that way?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people kind of have appreciated that it is raw, and they just kind of, I am this NFL offensive lineman. I am very blessed. I'm a talented football player, but I'm also just your normal guy who loves to fish and go in the outdoors. And I think it's cool to show people that side of me, that it's not like I'm any different than they are.
So what kind of responses are you getting from people when you put posts up? I mean, do you have a lot of interesting feedback?
Yeah, I have a lot of people that just kind of enjoy it from the entertainment aspect, and they just say, hey, thanks for the videos, keep it up. But there's also a lot of people that are trying to encourage me to post more tips and kind of teach on how I do everything. And that's one thing I'm trying to work on, is not only provide all the content that I'm providing with Grizzly Man Outdoors, but I'm also trying to provide some tips and whatnot in my videos.
So because there's different forms that you can take outdoor media, right? I mean, you can, there's how-to footage, and then there's also some experience or storytelling, so to speak.
Mhm.
Are you just, for right now, are you just kind of, do you have a direction? I guess that's where I'm trying to get. Is there a master plan behind all this?
Yeah, well, my direction I'd say is, I mean, here's what I want to do. I want to share the experience. I want to entertain, and hopefully you learn few things along the way. I'm not going to sit there and claim that I'm some expert fisherman and know all the tricks, know all the outdoor tips, know how to hunt, know how to do everything perfectly. I kind of like to just kind of provide the entertainment, and hopefully you learn a thing or two along the way. But I'm not trying to claim that I'm some guru, because I think there's not many gurus out there, and anyone who says they are might be lying.
Well, there's a lot of, in the outdoors. I mean, there's a lot of regurgitated content, right?
Hmm.
There's a lot of, we all say the same thing in essentially our own way, but it's essentially the same tip. One guy comes up with a new tip, and 50 other people tell the same thing in a different form.
Hmm.
It's really hard to be original that way.
Yeah, I agree completely.
What did you grow up watching or following?
Oh man, quite a few. My dad and I kind of have always shared the passion for the outdoors. So really, kind of whatever he was watching on the weekend mornings, I was watching. But I mean, I enjoyed so many different things. Babe Winkleman, Jason Mitchell Outdoors. I mean, the list goes on. And I mean, if there's, to be honest, if there's fishing content out there or hunting content, I'm gonna watch it. And whether it's live or on YouTube, I'm always watching. And that's kind of what I do in my free time if I'm not actually out there.
What do you have favorites besides Babe and Jason?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. Is it all fishing, or you're doing some hunting as well?
It is hunting. It's just the only thing that's been tough with the whole hunting thing is most hunting seasons are during the fall, which is when I got to go back to the real job. But otherwise, like I tried to turkey hunt this fall, wasn't able to get a bird. But I mean, I'm open to anything outdoors.
Well, the legal hunting seasons are in the fall. There's
Yeah.
other seasons.
You should. You should.
Yeah, the only ones that you want to end up putting on YouTube or on television that way. No doubt about that. So what is, I mean, is there, you'd mentioned what's the original connection? Where did you get started? We'll just back up just a hair in the outdoors.
So basically, I've kind of always had a passion for it. And I guess I never thought originally that I wanted to have a show, but then it was kind of like, as I was getting to be high schooler, my dad, my brother, my little brother, and my dad, we always talked about how like the ideal life, right? I go to the NFL, I play a long, healthy NFL career, and then all three of us have our own fishing show, and that's kind of like the original plan. And then unfortunately, my dad passed away my junior year of college, and that's kind of when I really kind of amped it up and tried to actually make it get going. And then the name Grizzly Man Outdoors, I don't know. I've always liked grizzly bears, I guess, and then I'm a huge man, so I figured it kind of blended well, and I kind of went with it.
No, that works. In fact, because that is where you started. The earliest videos I found of you in my research, that where it really was, and started in college. You started doing some stuff on the way to practice and such, right?
Yep, exactly. And I mean, we've got a bunch of like home things that I haven't published where I would just bring a GoPro, and we've got some funny home vacation trips in high school as well that the public hasn't seen.
We're not sure we want to.
Pretty amateur. I mean, who knows what they sound like, and yeah, you're not sure what you're gonna see.
So, what's the plan in the short term? Is just to play in the outdoors until we evolve through our professional career. Is that it?
Yeah, the short term plan is really just kind of keep building the brand and keep kind of just. I mean, it's basically a hobby right now. Like I'm just basically making as much videos, going as much fishing, kind of posting content, and then hopefully, whenever I do decide to step away from football, I've elevated myself a brand, so maybe I could have my own legit fishing show.
Well, absolutely. It just takes steps, and I mean that's kind of where I want to go, because I want to talk about professional sports here a little bit, and then I Oh, here we are. Now we're over chasing some big smallmouth bass. I think one of the reason I think that Chad just brought this up on screen is that he's heading there tomorrow. So he's
Oh,
probably
really?
secretly asking for some tips. Is that what you're getting at there, Chad?
Yeah, I need to watch this. So you guys take care of this for me. I want to learn something.
It's a pretty special place to fish, is it not?
Man. Yeah, that was my first time, and it is not only just unreal fishing, obviously, but just a very pretty area and a lot of fun.
How did they take a lion in Packerville?
It was very undercover. There wasn't much discussion about it. I don't know how they would have taken me, honestly.
Oh no, it's an amazing fishery. And I think honestly, the Bay of Green Bay right now, in terms of whether it's walleyes or smallmouth bass, it might be the best fishing on the planet as far as I'm concerned. It's amazing.
Yeah, we I didn't bring a camera, but we went earlier that spring and we caught probably 20 walleye, and two were over 30, and the rest of them were at least 26. Like, it was just amazing, the quantity and the quality of fish out there.
Do you have a style of fishing that you prefer? I mean, do you like to cast? Are you a jig guy, an artificial guy?
Yeah, I'd say I try to throw mostly artificial, but otherwise, not really. I mean, I love it all. I mean, I've casted rip wraps for the walleyes that spring. I think that's a blast. I love fishing top water for smallmouth, and I also love fishing finesse. I mean, I love fishing for lake trout. I really don't discriminate, to be honest.
You're just going after it.
Yep, exactly.
So I'm gonna switch subject here just for a second. Jump into the NFL. You get drafted, and I can only imagine, but suddenly you're finding yourself surrounded by names, people, and places that you've only aspired. I mean, it's a lifelong dream, right? I mean, pinch me because you're there.
Yeah.
What does that feel like? I mean, for those of us that will never experience that, what does that feel like?
I mean, how do you describe it? It's just, it's unreal. It's such a cool opportunity, and it really doesn't ever settle in. I still feel like it's just like, wow, like I'm in the same locker room as Matthew Stafford. I grew up like watching him on TV and just like kind of idolizing him. And then the fact that now we're like talking ball, talking shop, and we're friends, it's just, it still hasn't hit me. And it's just every game you walk out of that tunnel, it's like complete butterflies, complete just shock. And I try not to ever take it for granted. That's for sure.
And you played at a pretty high level. I mean, the SEC is huge in college. So is it, I mean, when you walk on the field, I mean, it's another step up. It's NFL. It's a different game, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, college, don't get me wrong, it was unreal. It was unreal playing that position, playing at the University of Arkansas, where you're playing in front of 80,000 fans at least each game. But, you know, every kid doesn't grow up and dreaming of playing in college. They dream of playing in the NFL. And that's kind of like the big shock factor part, is you're literally living your dream every time you go out and play, practice, whatever it is.
So as you've gone into college, I mean, or as you're playing in the pros now, and you're going into, this is the second, no, 18, 19, 20, this is second year.
Third, I'm going to go into my third year.
Third year. Okay, my bad. See, I didn't do well in math, but they were going into our third year there. So now, I mean, it's evolving a little bit, where suddenly, you know, it isn't so new anymore. You've been around everybody. Suddenly you're the guy getting idolized, and you're going to get to watch a new crop walk in the door with their eyes wide.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? It's crazy that, I mean, it's crazy that I'm going into year 3, and I'm just trying to approach it as if I am still that rookie. I'm still trying to take that approach, not take anything for granted. Like I said, keep that work ethic, because it's a humbling game, the NFL. I think people watch it and they see everything on TV and everything looks so smooth, because all the players are such unreal athletes, and you can never take your foot off the pedal, because just like that you'll be humbled. And I'm just trying to work my tail off to keep her going, because you really can't take a year for granted in that league.
So we'll talk about the diligence that it takes to stay at that level as an elite athlete. I mean, you're what are we watching on Instagram? We're watching you fishing all the time and hunting all the time.
Yeah.
But I got a feeling there's an alarm clock and a weight room involved in that same day.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm waking up at 5:30 every day right now to work out, and then you got to do. There's not just lifting weights. There's field training. There's cardio, and you have to stay on a pretty, not like crazy regimen for eating, but you got to eat good, and you can't just be. I mean, I'm an offensive lineman and I'm a big guy, but I can't just be eating ice cream and pizza every night. So you got to be very strict on your diet, your sleep, because really, your body is your business and you're the CEO, and you got to fine tune that and perfect that as much as you can. And then you add on studying film, studying the playbook and all that stuff. So it's a full-time job even when it's not in the season.
So off season, how many hours a week between research, studying, and working out do you think that equates to? I mean, the food thing, I mean, I've paid enough attention to diet to know that's a full-time gig.
Yeah.
Well, it is. I mean, it's a regimen, especially if you're going to watch your intake and all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd say it's, I mean, obviously it's the off season, so you're still taking some time off and you're still kind of enjoying your time off, because once you get into season, there really is no free time at all. But I'd still say during the off season, I'm spending 2.5 hours mentally, whether that is studying the playbook or watching film, and then another 3 or 4 hours training each day, and it kind of adds up. And then, so whatever the math is, I'm not a math guy either, but it's probably like 8-hour days just dedicated to that.
So are you, I mean, that's been learned and acquired over time. So you had to build that foundation of success and mentality from a very young age, even in high school, because you were a highly drafted high school player as well.
Yeah.
Is that all family? Is that your dad? Where does all that come from? Coaching?
I mean, I'm the most blessed individual. I mean, I'm so grateful for all the people that I've came across and been around as I've grown up, starting with my parents. I mean, my dad in particularly just established in me right away that to reach your goals, you got to work for them. And one thing he always said is, don't dream, because people dream and they always dream. Make everything goals so they're attainable. And that's one thing that's always stuck with me. And then I've been blessed, whether it was high school, college, or the NFL now, to be around great coaches that have instilled the right things in me, and then great players. It's just, I'm a very lucky individual who've just kind of been lucky, and combined with my work ethic, it's all worked out.
So you talk about attainable goals. Are you, is that something that you carry over into the outdoors? I mean, do you set yourself attainable goals in the outdoors, whether it be a certain size fish or a technique, and then you approach everything? Run me through how you think about that, or how you break that stuff down, because that's cool.
I can't remember, like a while back I posted on my Grizzly Man Outdoors Instagram, this is a list, and I can't remember it specifically, but this year it was a lofty list, a little aggressive, but I wanted to catch a smallmouth over 5 pounds. I wanted to catch a 40+ inch northern pike, a 40+ inch lake trout.
Oh my.
And I can't remember everything else, but I've struggled to get there. So, but I'm still working hard, and I'm trying to. I got the smallmouth. That one, the one on the right there, that one was 5.5, and that was my new personal best. But fortunately, with Canada being closed right now, it's tough to get the lake trout. But I might be able to get the northern in a little bit.
Well, it'll eventually open up, and we'll get there. For a 40-inch lake trout is a hefty specimen. Let me tell you.
Yeah. I caught a 34 up in Manitoba this winter, and I mean, that was a huge fish. So I can't imagine a 40.
There is ice fishing for lake trout. Is that like one of the most amazing things you've ever done?
It'll change your life. I
It
recommend
does.
anyone who's watching or listening, like, it is a game changer. That was my first time doing it. It is unreal.
They hit hard.
They hit hard and they come out of nowhere. Like they just fly and then it's game. Then the fight is on. Like they'll peel drag. They'll take you back to the bottom like 3 or 4 times.
I know it is without a question through the ice. It is I think I like it for a lot of different reasons. One is that it's really limited on the amount of times I get to chase them. I just don't get to do it all the time. So that part makes a big difference. But boy, there's nothing that pulls as hard as that.
Yeah, it is special. And I plan to do that. After doing that for the first time this year, I plan to do that. I mean, I want to try to at least do it once a year because it is unique. It is a life changer.
So when you are, from a mentality standpoint, when you go into the outdoors, as you go into professional football, okay, a game like football, I would think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to guess if I'm getting into a game, right, as the game comes up, I've got to get myself amped up, hyped up. I need every ounce of strength that I can get, whether it comes through adrenaline or just pure muscle. I need everything because these guys are all they're there to beat me too.
Yeah.
But outdoors, it's kind of the opposite mentality. I mean, at least for me, when I'm most successful fishing and hunting, it's when I can calm myself down and kind of become one with my surroundings. And those are two extremes.
And I think, that's why I like it. I think because it is just, first of all, like the beautiful thing about the outdoors is no matter if you catch 0 fish, you see 0 deer, you shoot 0 ducks, it is still a great experience. Like it's good for the mind, it's good for the soul. But there's also like this one thing that I feel like people don't talk about is there's this competitive factor that really drives me about it is the fact that like you're never going to win. You're never going to win the outdoors. You can always catch a bigger fish. You could catch more fish. You could shoot a bigger deer. Like that's what's I've learned to love about it because I'm really relaxed while doing it all and I'm calm and I'm cool, but like there's still that drive to be better and learn more and try to get that. So it's a beautiful thing, the outdoors.
Do you have competitiveness against anybody, other boats? I mean, do you see yourself as a tournament fisherman? Do you see yourself as strictly you against the game?
Yeah, I don't really see myself as a tournament guy. I think it would be cool to maybe do it once in my life, but it's more just like me versus nature. Like bring it on. Like let's see if we can find this 40-inch lake trout. How many holes do we have to drill to find that? Or like, what do we got to do to find this 5-pound smallie? Like just kind of that challenge that's always ongoing to find the next fish or the most fish, or whatever it is.
And that's probably true. That's probably true in football too, where, okay, what nobody sees, we turn the TV on Sunday and we watch the game. We watch you go out there and you make the block, you save the quarterback, the pass gets completed. Inside, that didn't happen because it was there. That took place all last spring, going through the playbook, working the weights, working all the drills that you had to do led up to that. The same thing takes place in the fishing. You had to figure out where the fish lived, what he wanted to eat, the right time of year, and all the research goes into making that play once you make the cast.
One quote I love, and I think kind of simplifies all that up, is success is when preparation meets opportunity. And like both aspects, whether it's the beautiful thing about fishing is literally the fish don't discriminate, right? Like anyone can catch a big fish at any time. A lot of people get lucky or whatnot, but there's also this beautiful preparation and so much work you can put in to learn the lake, the techniques, the whatnot. And the same thing carries over to football. Like I have to learn how my opponent's going to approach me. I have to prepare my body. I have to take care of my body. Like it's a very cool thing.
So is that the big message that you could tell anybody that's aspiring to follow a career in whatever their passion happens to be? It comes down to you got to do the work.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't fall in love with the end goal, whatever your end goal is. You have to fall in love with the process to get to that end goal. And that's where I'm so blessed is I love the preparation for fishing, the search for the fish and all that. I love the preparation, whether it's weightlifting, studying film. I love that part of the game and that part of the outdoors. And that is what makes it so enjoyable. And I think that has also helped me have the success I've had.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's really cool. It's so have you ever got tired of football?
Oh yeah. I think if anyone tells you they don't get tired of football, they're lying.
Well, and I bring that up because I'm talking about fishing and I'm talking about it's passion sports, right? I mean, we both make a living doing things that we really enjoy and love.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you can describe to someone the challenges that go with that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of practice, and your body in the NFL, your body gets beat up. So I guess you get tired of it, but you still love it at the end of the day. It's kind of like your brother or your sister. You can get sick of your brother or your sister, but you're still going to be in love and love them as much as you can. So it's the same kind of deal, I feel like.
No, there's a lot to be said for that. I think that nobody has any sympathy because you're tired of making a living in the NFL. Nobody's going to have sympathy for somebody in the outdoor industry that is forced to go fishing. Poor Chad tomorrow has to drive all the way across the state of Wisconsin to go catch some big smallmouth bass in the Bay of Green Bay. We don't feel bad for him.
Tonight I got to.
Not one bit.
So, but I know for myself and I'm a lot older than you are, obviously, but I know for myself, what's driven me is a constant effort to kind of redirect my energies. So I either got to find new species. I want to go from this type of fishing to that type of fishing, or at least in the media side of things, change the platform that I'm working on because it all keeps it new and fresh. And if I'm learning, it's still exciting and I'm having fun. If once I know that I can go out and go to the same point with the same jig and the same minnow and catch fish, that's great. That's opening day. I do it once a year. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's the rediscovery that is the most exciting for me.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I talked about with those kind of setting those goals. You just got to keep setting those goals and let that competitive side of you just want to drive to achieve or present or learn or attack whatever it is.
So I read, and now I'm diving back in your football career here, but is this a true fact? 2,603 snaps and never allowed a sack in college football?
Yeah, that's true.
That is how does that come? How do you do that?
Well,
start with spring training, right?
I think there's the hard work, obviously. There's the blessed to have some great guys next to me that help me out, but there's some luck there. There's some luck that I didn't give up the sack. But I mean, I take a lot of pride in that. That's kind of like, I mean, my job description really is protect the quarterback, don't give up a sack. And the fact that I was able to do that, I take a lot of pride in that.
Now that's it's incredible. We my wife and I watched draft night. We were really would have preferred you ended up in purple, but that's a different thing. We also kind of were hoping you would have ended up in maroon and gold at one point too. You were because I think Jerry Kill actively pursued you, did he not?
Yep. Coach Kill was incredible, and you want to talk about a hard decision. I mean, holy cow, that was a tough one. Choosing, I mean, I was blessed to have the opportunity to go quite a few different schools, and trying to narrow that down, it is tough. But yeah, Coach Kill was great. But I mean, I don't regret one thing. I think everything worked out perfectly.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think of PJ Fleck?
I mean, wow. I mean, he's legit. Did you see the season they had last year?
Oh, I mean, fantastic season. And I mean, I'm interested to know what you think of him. I mean, do you listen to his speeches? And if he would come into your living room and pitched you, gosh, he's a hard guy to say no to.
Yeah, the guy's a salesman. He's got his mottos and he's got his – I think it's one thing because he's got so many mottos and he's got so many things he talks about, but I think he also walks the walk. And I think that's why players love him and he plays hard, and that's why they've had their success. It's just cool to see the Minnesota Gophers freaking relevant for the top. I love it.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful because you still live in the off season. You're living in Minnesota, right?
Yep. I'm in my mom's basement right now, living the dream.
Oh, very good. But you're also taking advantage of some of those Lake St. Clair smallmouth as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
You got some of your teammates out there and fished with them.
Yep. So I bring my boat back and forth. That's one thing I've always got to have with me is my boat. So yeah, last spring I was able to bring out just about everybody in the offensive line room, which was about like 10 guys. And a lot of them, like, they're those people who claim that they fish and they know what they're doing, but then all of a sudden he's reeling the thing backwards and upside down. He's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. But it was cool to teach them and put them on some fish. That fishery right there is incredible.
It's pretty remarkable. There's a lot of big fish. And then have you gotten a chance to chase those walleyes in the spring on the Detroit River?
Oh, yeah. Just we've had days where we're catching 100 fish in 2 hours. Like, it gets hot and it hits because those fish come from what, Erie and Huron or whatever, and they all combine, and it is just a lot of walleye in one area.
And you learn a lot about, it's mostly a jig bite, and you learn a lot about jigging, especially if you come from Minnesota and
Mm-hmm.
jig compared to there, don't you think?
Yeah, it's the one big challenge about it is it's quite a good current. So to stay vertical and with the trolling motor, it's a difficult challenge, but once you find them, it's pretty cool.
You're talking about the boat control issue of trying to stay and keep your jigs, keep your line vertical straight up and down.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge with it, from my perspective, is because if you can't keep it vertical, it's hard to feel those fish and it's hard to actually connect.
Yeah. So you end up at Arkansas, and you end up with one heck of a coach there, don't you?
Coach Bielema?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a great coach, but I'll tell you what, he's an even better man. He still to this day is taking great care of my family. Obviously, I had to deal with the tragedy of my dad passing during college, and he was right there with me, and he's been right there with me since day one. So I can't praise him enough.
How old were you when your dad passed? You were a junior, right?
I was a junior, so I was 20 years old. Yep.
Yeah, that's young.
Yeah, it was. It's kind of a day-by-day thing still to this day.
No, I hear you there. When I lost my dad, I was only a couple years older than you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was mine was my dad had cancer, so I saw it coming. You had a much different this was sudden. This was a heart attack, right?
Yep. We had played. He was at my cabin in Canada the week before, and there's no cell phone reception up there, so I hadn't been able to talk to him. And he had just gotten back in time for the game. We played some small school team. And we got back. We won the game. We got back from the flight or whatever, and I was just sitting in my room kind of decompressing after the game and everything. And then Coach Bielema called me up, and he had a heart attack. It was on my parents' anniversary, too, so it was just brutal.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
So coach he's the one who informed you.
Well, he called me up to the facility basically and said, like, hey, I want to talk to you about something. And then it was then he handed me the phone, and it was my mom on the phone, and she's the one who told me. And then one thing that then Coach Bielema, he was there and kind of took care of me, if you will, and within 2 hours he was able to find someone to borrow him a private jet, where we hopped on the plane and he got me home within 3 hours, which was pretty incredible.
And how nice was it to get back with your family?
Yeah. And then, you can't ever repay him for that. That was pretty cool. And then we had, then I was with my family that whole week. And then that's next Saturday I had to play Alabama. So it was a whirlwind of a week, if that even describes it.
And you played the next week?
Yeah, I thought my dad would want me to play, so that's kind of what my mindset was. It wasn't easy, I'll tell you that, but I did it for him.
Do you remember anything about that game?
No.
No. Because when my dad passed, I was in a much different state than you were. I had alcohol and drugs that were just, I just pretty much was mainlining anything I could get into my system. But I
Uh-huh.
don't remember anything because I just went completely numb. I just
Yeah,
went,
I mean, I don't think I slept that whole week. I
yeah.
don't think I ate anything, and then I played that game. So it was a tough. I mean, and then I wasn't able to go home until or see my family until after the season. So it was a long, long fall.
And that's, you've made comments about trying to start, and maybe you've made progress on this, but you talked about trying to start some sort of support foundation work for young people
Hmm.
who lose parents.
Yeah, I've it's a hard thing to start a charity. I didn't realize how hard that was, but I've been working on kind of either I want it to be right, right? So I'm trying to be
Yeah.
patient through the process, and I'm trying to do something right and make sure it's actually impactful and doing and making a change and helping people. But I mean, the end all be all goal is to either create my own charity or connect with the charity that is able to connect and help people that are grieving that have lost parents. And I thought the one thing that me and my dad shared, and the one thing also that helped me through the grieving process was the outdoors. So I want to do something that helps connect, whether it's people just getting to fish with me or people just going outside, just something that helps connect the outdoors with people who are grieving their parents and kind of helping them get through that process.
That's how I ended up. That's how I ended up in the outdoor business, which it
Really?
was that my whole attitude towards life changed dramatically when my dad passed. In fact, I'm the same age right now that my dad was when he passed away.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm in my early 20s and he passes away, and suddenly everything, my mindset went from, because his idea was he was going to work, he was going to make money, and then he was going to retire, and he was going to go pheasant hunting and fishing, and he's going to live this life, right? Well, none of that happened, right?
Hmm.
He worked, had five sons. I'm the last one. I was completely rebellious and made it much harder on him than I probably needed to. But then he passes and doesn't get to do any of that. On the other hand, my attitude um, was, after he passed, was, you know what? I've got to embrace every moment. I
Hmm.
got to do what I got to do what I need to do to move forward. And for that, that's where I went. That's how I ended up being a fishing guide. I was like, I could have finished college. I could have tried to pursue what I'd call a normal career. And instead, I just took a complete 180 and went the other way and said, I want to be in the outdoors. I want to fish and hunt now, and I'm going to figure out a way to make a living in my passion. And that's how I ended up there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you've done well too, so that's pretty dang cool. I'm sure your dad would be pretty dang proud.
Well, thank you for that. But and that's where I think our stories are really similar, from the sense, because you're utilizing outdoors as really part of your, uh, your recovery, your therapy, to move on. And I'm guessing that when you spend time outdoors, do you feel your dad there with you?
Hmm.
You feel that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the one thing that I guess you could almost say the blessing in disguise that I took away from my dad's passing kind of young and suddenly was you can't take time for granted. I think time is the most valuable thing. Whether you're giving someone your time or you're spending your time, you can't take 1 second of it for granted. And that's just kind of how I've tried to live, is whether it's working hard or enjoying the outdoors. My priorities have turned to the things that I enjoy, and that's football and the outdoors, and and my family, and that's really kind of what I've devoted my time to.
I'm guessing that all of this helps you look at every day you walk into that locker room and go,
Yeah,
"This
exactly.
is
Like,
real."
yeah, exactly. You gotta, and I think a lot of dudes don't. A lot of guys are, they take it, they don't take it, or they take it for granted, and I just try not to, because it's all of it is such a crazy process, and it's an unreal deal, and you can't waste any second of it.
No, there's nowhere else in life that it's got to be even remotely close to what it's like
Mhm.
inside that locker room. That's really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
So, moving along here on a completely different note. Let's talk about from in an NFL standpoint. I'm going to back up here one second, Chad. Sorry. Let's talk about some of the videos that you made there. I just want to go the other direction here and talk about ice fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got one video in your ice fishing repertoire that made a lot of people smile. And you're shaking your head because you know which one I'm talking about, but you don't have that many ice fishing videos. But that one in particular made everybody smile.
That one, you know, I was a good trooper there, posting that, because that one's pretty embarrassing. I won't lie.
How embarrassing is it? The fact that in retrospect, would you not have posted it?
I mean, I ended up not catch. No, I would have posted it. It's been fun. It's good. It's good, clean fun. Maybe I taught some people what not to do.
I had to mute my mic.
It's funny to look back on.
Here, now we can hear it probably.
Now we can run us through what you got going on here, Frank.
So in Michigan, there's this little pond.
I feel more and more confident in this ice.
And I was going to try to catch a little sunny to put in my fish tank.
Definitely a little sketchy.
What time of year is it?
I believe it was.
Oh gosh!
I think it was late February.
Hey, folks, I'm in like a jackwagon. What was I thinking?
I'm glad it wasn't very deep.
Yeah, I had that. The one thing I will say is I knew it wasn't deep. Like I knew going into it, it wasn't deep, and I wasn't being too much of a jackwagon.
But it's still really cold.
Whew, it was cold, and I couldn't get out. It was the old family jewels were freezing.
Have you been through the ice before? Have you ever had anything like that happen?
Actually, yeah. In Minnesota, when I was growing up, there's this pond down the road from my house, and I was crappie fishing. And I had walked over to this shoreline where there was a bunch of logs that were kind of offshore, and I thought maybe some structure, some crappie might be on there. And I went right through. And fortunately there, I was like close enough to shore where I kind of was able to just kind of break through, and I walked all the way out and cried all the way home to my mom. So I guess this was my second experience.
Hey, Frank?
Yeah.
What kind of neighbors do you have there? Nobody's coming to rescue you here. I don't see any people running.
That's what my mom said. She's like, I can't believe not one neighbor came outside and helped you. I'm sure they were all just sitting in their living rooms with the windows open, just laughing.
Laugh? Well, that's probably what I'd have done. I'm sorry to say that.
They were probably had their phones on and on one end, and the other one was calling TMZ.
That's right. Yeah.
Look at this guy down the street. That we got the Detroit Lions, Frank Ragnow, through the ice and he can't get out.
Yeah.
It did go. Who ran it? Sports Illustrated ran it on theirs for a while, right?
Yeah. I mean, I posted the video thinking like it might get like 100 views or whatever, because I mean, at the time I hadn't had many people on Grizzly Man Outdoors YouTube channel, and it ended up, I think it's at 32,000 views now. I mean, the National Weather Channel played it. Everyone played it.
I don't care how big a bluegills you had in there. You wouldn't have got that many views.
Yeah. That's the. I mean, I guess you could say any publicity is good publicity.
You probably got a pants full of bluegills now. Standing in them. Do you ever get out?
Yeah, eventually I get out and crawl out and go take a hot shower.
That's good stuff.
That's really good stuff. But we've all been there, and if you've ice fished, you've definitely had it happen. We could also turn it into a learning moment about life jackets and ropes and not going alone and picks and all sorts of.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff we can go learn from there.
There's definitely a lot more preparation you can do to be safe out there.
So from an athletic standpoint, growing up, when you were going through the different levels of football, did did the athleticism come easy and then you had to work on skills, or how did you evolve? Because I mean, it didn't just kind of happen. You have to work at this.
I'd say until about 8th grade, I was your typical fat kid growing up. Played offensive line, was a double striper, block. I mean, I played baseball. Hadn't started basketball yet, but then 8th grade, I started working out with the high school football team. I started playing basketball, and I guess just like the working out and the work ethic and getting myself going. And then I realized that's kind of when everything kind of started coming, was just working hard in the weight room. That's the biggest credit to my success, I guess I could say, is the weight room.
It makes a big difference.
Oh, it is. You can mold yourself however you want to be. It just depends on how much work you put in there. I mean, obviously I'm blessed with some great genes from my parents where I'm athletic, but still you can work really hard and get a lot of things done in there.
Well, there's a lot of good athletes, and I've been around a lot of good athletes in my life, but there's not a lot of really good elite athletes. And then amongst the elite athletes, you've got to have a mentally strong athlete to take it to the level that you're at now. And it's these last little increments there's a world of difference. I mean, I was a good athlete when I was in high school, but I was not near what I aspired to be. Right. I mean, it was, and the older I get, the more I look back, the further that gap, the realization of how far that gap really was. But it also come from a real appreciation of that gap. It drives me, like I have a lot of physical things that goals that I try to set for myself as I am at 58 years old, and still trying to push myself physically. I love that stuff. And I think it's made me stronger mentally now, just knowing how deficient I was when I was 17.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's another thing I can credit to my dad, is instilling not only giving me some great genes, and I'm lucky for that part of it, but he instilled a great work ethic in me. And I just kind of took it from there. But yeah, I think we all remember those one or two kids that were those freak athletes that could have done more, but they chose a different path or whatnot, no matter where you're from.
Who works the hardest, like in your professional career now? Is there somebody that you just aspire to, that you're like, man, I can learn a lot from this person just by how they go about their daily routine to be better?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of guys in that locker room that are professionals, and that's what it comes down to. But I'd say Matthew Stafford approaches the game in a way that's like no other. His work ethic, whether it's on the field, in the meetings, watching film, all the preparation, he is a first-class professional, and he's one guy that's great to learn from.
There's a lot of really smart people playing football. That's what. The older I get, the more I watch the game, and I don't know anything. I couldn't tell you a lot about it, but what I've come to appreciate is that there's a lot of nuances, and there's some really smart people running around out there.
I appreciate you saying that, because I think a lot of people watch the game and they think it's just kind of making plays, scoring touchdowns, but there's a chess game inside there that a lot of people don't realize, with all the blitzes and plays and all that stuff. There's a lot of studying that can be done.
It's really fun. So here we are, we're sitting looking towards the fall of 2020 here. And at this point in time, we really don't know what this is going to look like. Have you thought about playing inside of a stadium with nobody indoors?
Yeah, I mean,
and what does the fan base mean? I mean, how much are you getting from that?
A lot. I mean, I think a lot, because I really can't imagine. I guess that would be like practice, and that would be tough, because those games, all those fans and playing in front of those big crowds, they provide the adrenaline. And I don't know how I'm going to block these dudes without that adrenaline. So I'm a little nervous. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I just can't imagine it. But who knows what's going to happen?
Well, I think that it's also an opportunity. I mean, you're probably going to need team more than ever. You're going to need each other more than ever, because you're going to be looking at each other to say, hey, it's go time.
Yeah,
Get your head out of your ass. Let's go.
yeah. We're gonna need some good motivators in the locker room, but I also think the one thing that'll help is the realization that a lot of people are watching it on TV. So that'll be another kind of in smaller factor that'll kind of get the adrenaline going.
Which league was it that pumped in the audio? Oh, that was
Oh,
soccer. Soccer,
yeah,
right?
yeah, soccer did. I saw that video. Yeah, we
That
might.
might help, right?
Yeah, I mean that would help. Anything but dead silence. That would be a little weird.
I've read that, or they talk about that when you're watching it on television, that XYZ team to prepare to come to play at this particular location piped in a bunch of noise. Is that something you've done?
Yeah, if we're like preparing to go play an opponent on the road, like let's say we're preparing to play Minnesota, right? They've got a
Sure.
loud stadium, and that skull chant and everything, it gets loud in there. That whole week of practice, we'll have speakers all along the practice field, just blaring crowd noise, blaring music. So we have to force ourselves to be able to communicate under high pressure situations.
So do they blare in the skull chant for you just so you can?
Yeah, they've done the skull chant, whatever it is. It just has to be super loud, so you have to force to communicate, whether screaming or non-verbally. It kind of makes you amp up everything.
What as you go forward here, I know that as we've come through this winter, you've also made a fair number of charitable donations in terms of youth groups, both in Minneapolis and in Detroit. Tell me what you did there.
Well, basically, like since I guess the coronavirus has hit the U.S., the one thing that I don't think people are talking about enough still to this day are the amount of people who are needing to eat, and because they're either they got laid off from their jobs, or their parents can't feed them, or they can't get their school lunches that they're used to. So it kind of really hit me because I'm a 300-pound man. I obviously don't skip a meal. I'm eating really well, and I can't imagine going meal to meal or even day to day wondering if I'm going to get a meal. So that's kind of when I decided that I wanted to help out these three food shelves. I actually decided, I mean, it's hard to choose one place, right? Because I was born in Minnesota. Minnesota's my home. I love Minnesota. It'll always be my home. But I'm also fortunate to go down to Arkansas. Loved Arkansas. Everything about Arkansas. Michigan has completely embraced me. Detroit fans have completely embraced me, and it's been nothing but great. So I just wanted to donate some money to each, to a bunch of food shelves to try to impact as much people as I can, because I just can't imagine wondering if I'm going to eat that meal. So I just hope I was able to help out as much people as I could.
Well, you've been generous, and that's got to feel good to be able to have yourself, to work yourself into a position to make a difference like that.
Like you said, I'm living the dream, and like you said right away, I've got moolah. I'm blessed, and I'm a 24-year-old kid living in my mom's basement, so I like to think I'm doing a pretty good job saving it. I thought I'm in a comfortable situation. I'm blessed as can be financially, that I can help people, and it does feel good to be able to help and be in that position.
Well, and we're certainly on the brink of a lot of change. And being from Minnesota, I grew up in Minneapolis, in the city proper. So we've definitely had our set of challenges and awakenings and realizations of just how fortunate a lot of us really are.
Yeah, for sure.
Lately. So it's kind of changed. If there's anything that's happened lately, it's just this whole perspective change, a rude awakening, so to speak. I don't know how else to describe it other than just kind of shaking ourselves to pay attention to things that are going on around us that we've become numb to. Especially, I think, myself personally, in the life in the outdoors. I live in northern Minnesota. I'm kind of in this bubble. I've got trees and woods and lakes and small little towns, and run up to Canada whenever we want and come back. And we just kind of live this little life. and suddenly you turn on the TV and you realize that what, life is not good for a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
And just how fortunate we really are here.
Yeah, I think you said it really well. Eye-opening for sure. And I think it's just a good time to kind of take it all in and learn, and try to be part of the positive and not the negative. That's the best way I can put it.
And that's where I love your the balance that you're showing. I mean, you've got great diligent execution and passion about football and what you're doing, but you're also balancing that out, and you're taking a perspective that a lot of people don't. And I think that the outdoors can be an incredible release for people, and I'm really excited about what I've seen take place through the pandemic, and as all the challenges that we've been in. Fishing license sales are up. People are spending more time in the parks. They're getting outside more. And what I hope other people figure out is the serenity and the escape that's out there that is really not that far away. You don't, just because you're in the city of Minneapolis, I mean, it's not very far away. There are woods and forests and parks within a very short distance. Can offer a lot of serenity for people.
Yeah, I mean, the Mississippi River's right there. I just can't say enough about the outdoors. I think it's good for everyone's mind, everyone's soul. It helps you gather your thoughts. It helps you relax. It helps everyone. I think everyone could really use it. I think this whole world could use a day out on the water, a day out hiking, a day out hunting, kind of just getting away from social media. Not saying that social media is all negative, but there's a lot of aspects that we don't need every day and every second of our lives. And I think the outdoors provides that escape from this. There's a lot of negative going on, and I think the outdoors really gives you perspective that there is life out there. There is a beautiful life. There is a beautiful world that we're all fortunate to be a part of.
And it really comes to, you just got to go find it. It's not always easy. It's really a bear, and that dealing with your dad's loss. Yeah. And losing a parent or anybody that is dealing with any type of tragedy, you just got to step back and take a breath sometimes. And life sucks sometimes, Frank. It really does.
It does. I agree.
And you got to decide on how you're going to face it.
How are you going to handle it, and how are you going to get through it?
Absolutely. Well, it's been great having you here today. I wanted, before we sign off here, I just want to encourage everybody to get to our show notes. We'll have a full list of all of your YouTube pages and Instagram connections and your Twitter accounts. All that's going to be there, and hopefully people link up. I certainly encourage them to follow you. I encourage them to root for you 14 weeks a year. The two that you're playing, the Vikings.
You don't know how many people say that to me. You don't know how many people say that line.
Well, yeah, but it's funnier when I say it because it's my joke.
Oh, you Vikings fans. That's funny.
It's all good. No, we root for you. We root for you. Enjoy having you there, and we're just happy and heck for you, and wish you the very best in your pursuit, and get through your NFL career, and then make the outdoors whatever your wildest dreams are. You and your brother, we wish you the very, very best of luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, and hopefully one day we can hop on the boat and get some fishing in.
I look forward to that. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.